What's up guys, in today's video I'm going to be talking about my second exam week results. I made a video about my first exam week results, so I thought I'd do it again. In my last results video I also calculated my overall average at the end. This time that isn't necessary. I would like to explain why for the people who don't know already, and if you do know or you're just not interested, you can skip ahead to a timestamp that I will put in the description of this video, from where on it will actually be about results. Okay, so as I said last time, I also calculated my overall average grade, and this time I will not, because last time I did that because I needed to know my overall average grade for the study that I had applied for, because for that study you need to have an overall average of at least a 7.0, and this time, because I was already rejected from that study, I will link the video about that up here. Since I'm already rejected, that's not necessary anymore, so there won't be any overall average calculators, because for almost all other studies that just doesn't matter. The studies that I've currently applied for are educational sciences and interdisciplinary social sciences. Both studies seem really interesting to me, and in June there will be days where I can follow some classes online to see which study fits me best, and then I have to do basically an entrance test, and if all of that works out then I will hopefully be accepted into both or either one of those studies. But yeah, that was basically the small explanation of the difference between this video and the last one. Time to actually get into the grades. My first test was a Dutch oral exam, during which I had to discuss 5 literature books that I've read. In addition to that, you needed to give a talk for about 5 minutes about a theme that you could kind of place with 2 or 3 of your books. So in total the exam was 15 minutes, 5 minutes for that talk and 10 minutes for detailed questions about the books you've read. And yeah, overall those exams are always pretty hard, and I was really happy to have received a 7 this time, so really happy with that. My next test was an history exam, and I always do pretty well during history exams. My average grade is about a 7, and this time I got a 7.7, so that's the highest grade I've gotten for history this year, so I was really happy with that as well. Then move on to English. English was a writing exam, and I had to basically write an argumentative essay of, I don't quite remember, but I believe it had to be around 400 words, so that's, at least for me, not a lot. I always end up having to delete 100 to 150 words because I wrote down way too much. But yeah, I always get pretty good grades for those type of English exams, but this year when we had to hand in some of our practice essays, I was pretty heavily critiqued, and I didn't really get any feedback on what I did do well already, so I was kind of nervous about it this time, because at first I thought I would get an 8 or higher easily, and then I kind of came to doubt that, but I got an 8.5, so no reason to doubt after it. Then we have a German writing exam, which I did a week later than I actually was supposed to, because I was sick during the exam week and before. If you want to know more about that, I'll link the video in which I explain it up here. So I did it a week later, but I already knew that my German vocabulary would be good enough to get at least a decent grade, but my grammar sometimes could be better, to say the least. It's not horrible, but it's not that great either. But that went pretty well actually, and I got a 7 for this exam as well, which I was really happy with. Unfortunately, it did make my German average go down a little bit, but hey, win some, lose some. Then, about 2 or 3 weeks later, I believe I did the last 4 exams. First of those was, I believe, economics. Usually, as some of you might know, I understand the topics, I can make the homework assignments flawlessly, I can make old exam assignments flawlessly, but when it comes to the actual exam I always screw it up somehow. But this time that actually didn't happen. While I was doing the test I already was kind of like, okay, this is going really well, how can it be this easy? But then I kind of was like, well, maybe it wasn't that easy after all, but I got a 7 for that as well, so once again it went pretty great and was really happy with that. Then we have business economics, which usually is one of my best subjects, but I already knew that this time the test was going to be quite a bit harder because the people of my class that did the test on the original date didn't have the best grades. Usually a lot of us have a 7 or something, and this time most of those same people had a 6, and I got a 6.1, so not that great, but not really bad either. Especially since I just wasn't able to focus at all for weeks by that point and wasn't really able to study that much. So yeah, satisfied, not really happy. Then we have math, which is usually one of my weakest subjects, and basically this time was no different. I got a 5.5, which is considered as good enough. So because everything from a 5.5 or above is considered good enough. So yeah, was kind of happy with that grade because I thought I'd done way worse. But yeah, it's not that good of a grade, so I wasn't really ecstatic about it either. And then last but not least, we have geography, which kind of varies when it comes to how I actually do the test, because sometimes I get like a 4 and other times I get a 6, but never really above a 6. And this time I got a 5.8, so just like with math, not great, not terrible, just okay. But yeah, overall with this exam week I was pretty satisfied because, as I said, I basically wasn't able to study that much for this exam week at all. Usually I am almost obsessed with studying, and this time I probably did like a half or a third of my usual studying because I just wasn't able to focus at all, and I was so exhausted that basically after every 10 to 20 minutes of studying I needed a break of about 30 to 60 minutes. So that isn't really productive in that way, but it was what I needed at that time, so I dealt with it. And yeah, as I said, I'm pretty happy with the results it gave me. These exams were my last, what we call SEs, which stands for schoolexamens, so my last exams of this type, so to speak, because I am in my last year of high school, and in Dutch high school you have 50% of your end grade is your grades from the last 3 years, and the other 50% is from the what we call CE's, Centraal Eindexamens. So those are basically the most important exams of your high school life. So currently I am studying for those. Studying is going a little bit better again. I'm able to focus for about 30 to 60 minutes, and then I need about a 20 to 30 minute break. So not great yet and not where I used to be, but it's already much better than it was a few weeks ago. So I'm pretty happy with that. So that's what I'll be spending the next month and a half on. My CEs start on May 17th and they're finished on May 31st. I will document some things about that as well. And yeah, with all that being said, I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like it. If you want to see more of my videos, please consider subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next video.